everyone. Welcome back. Christine and Patsy here.
Hey there.
With our Black Swan podcast. And today in our chakra series, we are diving into
Throat Chakra, Visshuda.
Boom.
I love saying it like it's like this magical, I don't know, Visshuda.
And it's because it's about the voice.
Yes.
I think that's why.
Communication.
Yeah, yes. So communication is something we do every day, all day long, whether it's speaking or listening to one another. So it's very important. And that is what we'll delve into today.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's one that it tends to be one that a lot of us need help with. Just how to communicate. We have courses on communication, and books and documentaries, all of it.
All of it. Because it can cause a lot of angst, anxiety. We've probably all experienced the troubling of miscommunication and not being heard or not knowing when to speak or when to shut up. So we'll cover it all in today's little spiel of our beautiful Visshuda, throat chakra. So it's cool because last week we were talking about the heart and how at the heart chakra, it's kind of this middle area between below the lower chakras. And now we're at this place where we're moving upward and really into our like sensory space. We taste, we start hearing, seeing, and all these things are right here,
Yes.
And I think of it's interesting because the throat chakra is also known of purification. And so the throat, if you think about even the shape of our throat, it's like this little funnel. It's like all the energy that we've worked on down below and it's moving its way up has to go through this little funnel through our throat. And then and from here, then we speak and we communicate.
It's like a filtration.
Yes.
Purification, filter. Yeah. And even what we take in is, it needs to be filtered, needs to be purified. Okay, who's this coming from?
Yeah.
What is their intention? How do I receive this? What is my intention?
Yes,
all
exactly. Yeah. Because, communication isn't just one-sided. It's not just what I'm saying to you right now, but it's also about listening. You can easily just hear someone. It's like Snoopy, and they're like the teacher's voice is like wah, 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 wah. And it's really easy to tune people out.
Yeah.
And I think it has to do with a lot of the other chakras, but also just being distracted or not interested or sucked into a piece of technology.
Yeah.
And that we miss out. We really do. And it can really hurt or hinder our relationships with one another.
Absolutely. I think listening is a huge part of communication. And it's so easy for us to be distracted, as you said, and not to be present. And when miscommunication happens, it really can harm relationships, all different kinds, from, work relationships to personal. It's all in there that miscommunication happens very, very often.
And then from miscommunication, resentment can come out, bitterness can come out, and assumptions, hurtful words. So it's just this domino effect. So if you want to save your relationships and make them a little bit richer, put down your phone, turn to them, direct your body language to them, to be open, to be like, look at them in the eyes and start receiving what they're sharing with you. Because if we start valuing the words in which we speak and share to one another, and we are showing that respect to someone who's speaking, they're going to feel valued and they're going to feel more inclined to share and communicate with you on a deeper, more authentic level.
Absolutely. They're going to want to be more present with you.
Exactly.
If they feel that they are being honored,
right,
then they're going to want to honor you.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid to clarify communication. I think that's pretty big, to ask questions.
Yes.
To say, is this your intention? Was this what you meant by this? Because this is how I felt by it.
Yes.
I think it's important.
I completely agree. So in the world of throat chakra, we have always been talking about like the excess of too much, and then if the wheel isn't turning enough. So let's kind of gear our attention to that. What is an overactive throat chakra?
An overactive throat chakra usually looks like someone who just cannot stop talking, and they talk so much. A lot of times they'll talk about themselves. Maybe they don't even give themselves a break to breathe. Someone who you can't get a word in with this person.
Yes. Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes. And they're not having even a moment to breathe.
Right. Or even maybe to like process what they're saying.
Yeah.
Like that purification process, that filtration.
Isn't even there.
Yeah. Like they're just, that word vomit that just comes out.
Yes. And then an underactive throat chakra is on the other side.
Yes. The lump in the throat, afraid to speak, someone who, and please don't get us wrong. There's definitely a difference between someone who is shy and rightfully so makes the choice not to speak. That's very different than someone who has an underactive chakra who wants to speak but can't. They
exactly.
they just, and it I think that when that builds up a lot of emotion that's just stuck in there. It's not being processed. It's not coming out. And so it's going to come out in a different form, maybe with tears, maybe, anger at some point. But yeah, someone who wants to speak but just cannot get those words out.
Yeah. So, okay. And, in group dynamics, it's really interesting, especially in teacher training when we hold space, because usually there's the smaller group of people who will like always, I want to share, I want to share, I want to share, which is great. But then there's the people who like won't speak at all. And so it's, trying to help people like simmer down when they need to simmer down and help like light that fire a little bit for those who just need a little bit of encouragement.
Yes.
And I think for, if you're in the place of wanting to help other people, it's just about noticing and becoming aware of, this friend of mine always gets dominated in a conversation. How can I help them speak up? Because everyone has something to share. Everyone has an opinion.
Yes.
A perspective that you might not have. Yeah.
And maybe it's part of bringing it back a notch for yourself. Okay, I'm going to be comfortable with the silence to give them time to speak, to say what they need to think about, for them to process, okay, this is what they want. This is how they feel. So this is what they want to say.
Yeah. Yeah. Something that I like to do when I was a high school teacher and now as a yoga trainer, I'll ask like a question and then I'll have some people who'll be like, I want to share. I'm like, just wait 1 second. And then I'll like just wait and like in my head count for like 8 seconds, like slow. And then just embrace the awkward silence because I think it's healthy. And then usually after that point in time, someone will chime in.
Yeah.
And I think it's our culture, it's because of the speed of our culture and our society is just so instant in gratification and quick paced and fast that we just have this expectation that people can formulate an idea just like that.
Right.
And it's not always true.
Yeah.
And sometimes people are actually taking the time to think about what they actually want to say and not just like word vomit and like they're articulating, and then this part, and then they want to share.
Yeah, absolutely. When I feel rushed to speak, I tend to get my words opposite. Like I'll say the word that's supposed to come last, like towards the beginning.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's just proof for me that I need to think about it. I mean, first of all, if I'm being rushed and I'm saying something that's not even coming out in the correct order, maybe that's not even what, I need to say.
Yeah.
Like I need to like really take the time.
Yeah. And I think too for, it's the throat chakra is interesting because I definitely I remember and recall moments in my life feeling that little like lump. I don't really get that much anymore, but I just like remember the feeling of like, I need to say this. And it was like my throat would lump up, my heart would get tight. And I was like, I could feel like I need to say this. And I just get so nervous because I was so concerned with how it would be received.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and now I'm like, I'm just gonna say what I want to say. I need to let it out. And so it's not like you're always the same.
Right.
You know, we can go through these seasons.
Yes.
And I love the questions of, is it kind? Is it necessary?
Is it true?
Yeah. And letting that kind of help you take a moment to ponder what you're actually trying to say.
Oh, so good. Is it kind? Is it necessary?
Yeah.
Is it true?
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. Because, you know, sometimes we might want to say something, but actually will cause more harm.
Yeah.
So is it really, you know, is it true? But is it kind? Is it necessary? And so that can get a little like foggy of like, what should I say this? Should I not say this? But in your heart of heart, if you're working on all of your chakras, you'll know.
Yeah.
If you need to speak it.
And sometimes it's the kindness that you can just tweak. Like, okay, it is true and it is necessary, but how I'm about to say it is not kind.
Yeah.
So maybe if I just delivery a little bit. Yes.
Yeah. You know, and I think in terms of like relationships, especially with like intimate relationships, you know, little things can build up quickly. And you know, in our house, we really believe in like no name calling because it's just toxic and it doesn't feel good to be called an asshole. Maybe you're acting like an asshole, but you are not an asshole.
Yes.
Because words are powerful and you can't take them back.
Yeah, that's the thing. Once it's out there, it's out there. And so no matter how rushed you were to say it or how much you didn't think about it or didn't mean it, it's out there. And there's no taking it back once it's there. You know, we all have had that feeling of, you know, fuck, that's really not what I meant. If I had taken the time to think about it and be more mindful and let that purification process set in. How do I want to deliver this? How can I filter my words, my emotions, so that my language can really come across?
Yeah, and so those three questions are really helpful. And I also just think spending time in reading also really will help you with your communication and develop your language and your perspectives. And there's this, I forget who says this, but, you know, we're talking about communication is not just speaking, but also listening. And so if you think about it, like we have 2 ears and 1 mouth. So we should really listen twice as much.
Oh, I love that.
As we should speak. And the reason why is because we already like individually know our ideas and opinions about things. So if we're the ones that are always speaking and communicating verbally, it's like, are we actually expanding our perspective and our boundaries, you know, or
our
we're
horizon.
just, yeah. And then if you actually listen, you're like, oh, I never thought about life like that before.
I know. And isn't it funny how someone is speaking, but we tend to at times think to ourselves, well, what am I going to say back? Instead of actually like truly listening. Like it's like, well, I'm already thinking about my response rather than being present with the words I'm taking in.
So how do we do that? Because that's a really good thing that you brought up.
I think just being so mindful of being present and, you know, letting those words soak in really, you know, because you'll catch yourself. I think, you know, bringing more awareness to how you listen is huge and starting to notice, okay, I'm starting to think about something else. Okay, let me come back to this person. And right now I'm just a sponge absorbing it all. And when I have my response, it'll come at the right time, but I'm going to take in right now. And I really love that you said reading for communication because we have so many words.
Yes.
You know, the English language has so many words. And I think having a wider vocabulary is a really great tool for your communication. And I want to get back to this. I used to try like once a week, I would have one word, like my word of the week that I would,
love that.
yeah. And, it would be great to do it, with friends.
Yeah.
So that way you
share
can
it.
start doing it together,
That's great.
each week. And
Let's
it's
do
like,
that.
yeah, we should.
You guys do want to join
Please.
us? You can. Yeah. I think so. Our, how we communicate like our emotions is really interesting. Like, I'm sad. Really? Like, that's all?
Right.
Like, what is it? Is it just sadness?
Right.
Or is it frustration? Or is it angst? Or is it anxiety? And being a little bit more descriptive, or having more options to share what you're actually going through.
Yeah.
And not just something that's like, that's it. Because that doesn't fill generally the whole gamut of what the human body is experiencing.
Big time.
Yeah.
I was actually just talking about this in teacher training last night, about how it's so easy to use the same word so many times in different circumstances. I'm like, but could we actually use instead slowly, maybe just mindfully or intentionally,
Gently,
yes.
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of different words. I love how you just said, are you sad, or can we dig in a little bit more? What's really the root? Frustration? Is it, guilt? Is it regret?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then I think that also helps communication when you're expressing and sharing with one another, because it allows for return communication. Oh, I'm sad. Okay. Well, it's just, like digging a little bit deeper past the surface level. And I think that also requires for us to be a little bit, have that self-study of like, what am I actually really going through?
Yeah.
That I can share with someone, of like, like pulling the weeds out and being like, oh, actually it's more than just sadness that I'm going through right now.
Right. And I think adding to your homework of reading more, I will add the homework of journaling more.
Yes,
too.
I totally agree.
To help process. I just had someone even yesterday ask me, so what would you recommend for someone who's struggling with communication? And the first thing I thought of was journaling, really, because is it a matter of, is it a matter of not knowing how you feel? Because I think that journaling will really help you to dissect that, because it's just you and your paper. But once you get it out there and you just start going with it, it's a really beautiful processing tool and healing tool to help you connect with yourself a little bit deeper.
I definitely, and I think you're communicating with yourself at that point in time. I agree. And it's reflective, and then you can sit back and read it, and then you'll read it and be like, whoa, I didn't realize I actually was going through that, or I was thinking about that.
Or, maybe I shouldn't, maybe how I felt really isn't how I feel.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's
like we're really quick to label.
Yeah.
Because we want to understand something. And sometimes it's best to not label something.
Yes.
And just to see it for what it is, and then sit with it and feel it, so that you're not just labeling it as like, this is my said feeling, and that's that.
Right.
And that's going to be my story.
Right.
And I think with communication, we're talking a lot about how we communicate with one another, but it's also about how you communicate with your own self and that story you tell yourself. Because in life, if you have one life, you have like the pen in your hand, in a sense, like you are writing at the same time you have the ability to revise and edit your story. And it's like, is that the story you really want to live? Is those negative thoughts, are those dictating the way that you see and experience life? And it's like, well, why? Where's that coming from?
Yes.
And that's an inner dialogue that's constantly happening.
Big time. Yeah. Where's it coming from? Was this, something that was told to you as a child that you just believed? And then when you become an adult, like, no, actually, I'm not stupid.
Yeah,
whatever
exactly.
It is,
Yeah. Yeah, it's really fascinating. So in terms of the idea of purification of voice. It is really connected to our second chakra because it is second chakra is about creativity, and here in throat it's about expressing that creativity and that communication out into the world, which is really cool. I just think of it's like the energy is built in the second chakra, and then it's like it's released through the voice, through the throat.
I love that. I always have thought about more with the third or fourth chakra of just like my power. How am I going to communicate my power and, my strength and then my love? But I love that you just said the second chakra.
Yeah, because that gets, I think the second chakra can get stagnant.
Right.
You get like ideas, but it's like, are you acting upon them? Right. But I think they all flood into each other.
They really do.
If you have the idea and the creativity, then you need the strength and the willpower to like believe in it. You need the intention of love and compassion behind it.
Yes.
And then you express.
It's really cool to mix them together too.
Yeah.
Like to start focusing on,
blending pot.
Yes. Like how can I work on both my creativity and expression, my voice, or maybe it's how can I work on more of my power with my voice, whatever it is that you feel like, these two wheels might be stuck or one's spinning really fast and one's real slow. How can I mix them up together and just see what happens with my life?
Yeah. So I think, if you're a person that feels like, gosh, there's so much I want to say and express, like Patsy was saying, like write it out and then find someone that you can communicate with.
Yeah.
Maybe even like this might be a vulnerable experiment, but go in the mirror, and this one woman who is actually a yoga student of ours at Black Swan, she does some like women's empowerment and self-empowerment for individuals. We'll do like mirror talk is what she calls it. And like we'll go into the mirror and just like affirm the shit out of herself. And just says, I'll give a name. I'll say my name. Like, Christine, you are beautiful and you are powerful. You are capable of anything that you want to set your mind to. And like you are vocalizing that inner power and that belief in yourself.
So good.
And I think that when you walk through life and you have that affirmation for yourself and belief, then you will communicate and express that same energy out in the world, and that will be felt. And it's not an egotistical thing like you are the best person in the world. It's just about believing in yourself and carrying yourself with
confidence.
Yes.
And that's powerful work. It might seem silly what she's saying. Look in the mirror and say these things.
It's a little silly, but it's good.
It's good, powerful work. It's powerful. Another thing I would suggest is singing.
Oh, yes. Huge.
Not to be afraid of it. It's, when you're in the shower, when you're in the car by yourself or with friends, going to a mantra bhakti class can be really powerful just to like feel the vibrations of your own vocal cords. And then
huge.
I remember, I'm not a singer by any means, but I've always wanted to be. And I remember like one of the first times I was really young, a child, and when my voice, like the tone matched with the other person's tone and the magic that I felt like just like, wow, I could feel that inside.
Connection.
Yeah. I felt like
love
inside my heart, is really cool.
Oh, I love that.
So maybe even taking singing lessons.
Yeah, especially if you're struggling with communication. Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah. I think, group oming.
Yeah.
And like that same idea. It's like everyone's like, and then everyone like finds that same wavelength. It's like bliss. It's really powerful.
It is.
And I think that's something that's, interesting of like, that mantra or chanting, but like in religious circles too, it happens. Like you either recite some passage or you're singing a song. I think there's something behind it. A group energy, singing, chanting together is really powerful to be a part of. And I definitely think it reawakens us to the power of our voice.
Yeah.
I mean, it is like wild to think about, I have a thought and now I'm expressing it through words. What?
It's making that sound.
Yeah.
That vibration. And that is the element of our throat chakra, sound.
Sound. The demon of throat chakra is lies. Lies we tell ourselves, lies that we believe, and things that we don't share. And that is a very interesting one because I think it happens all the time.
Yeah, the stories, like
The
what you're
stories,
saying.
yeah. I'm not good enough. Like I can't do this. I don't think I can succeed. I'm not worthy.
All of it.
Yeah.
Or on the flip side, I'm the shit. I'm the best. No one is better than me.
Yeah, that too. And not having the human capacity to be humble and have perspective.
I know. Humility is a powerful quality in a human.
Yes. Yeah. And it's a balance. So it's like believing in yourself, but like not letting that float away.
Yes.
Staying grounded and, having that perspective. And I think sound too, listening to sound. Even if you're not like at the point of being able to sing or chant or whatever it is, like hearing beautiful sound and really listening to it. I think songs like bring a lot of emotion to people.
Yeah.
Really powerful songs will bring people to tears. I'm like, whoa.
I know. And they don't even need to have the vocals. Just the musical instrument.
Yeah.
Yes.
I know.
It's incredible.
It is.
They tell their own story in this beautiful non-language way.
Yeah. And it almost just touches your soul. So what other ways can we like kind of thread out, refine our language techniques?
Yeah, I would say pay attention to the way you listen, the biggest one, because you might be an overactive throat chakra and not even realize it. It's notice when you give people breaks to speak, please. And also notice if you are taking over the conversation in a way where it might be stifling someone else and overacting your own throat chakra. And then with that, as we talked about, singing and humming and music and journaling, reading, all of those are going to help so much, tremendously.
Yeah, I think too with listening, there's idea of like active listening. So if Patsy was telling me a story from her childhood, we'll say, and I'm not just sitting here like,
right.
like I'm actually giving her eye contact, even like a head nod or smile or nonverbal communication is huge.
Yes.
And it can even be more powerful than the verbal communication that we are actually speaking.
Yeah.
So our facial expression, how we carry our bodies, that is communication. We've talked about this several times before of like how we hold ourselves, how we hold our arms, our posture. If someone's telling you a story and the other person's like, they're somewhere else.
Right.
And don't give them that then.
Yes. The other person, they're not going to want to communicate.
Yeah.
Why would I want to share if you're not going to be intentional with your listening? Yeah. And even just the like, stay connected.
Stay connected.
Yes.
And another part of it too is, and they're the natural pauses of a dialogue, you can kind of slide in and be like, wow, that's amazing that happened to you. Wow, what a cool story.
You're right.
And just giving them that affirmation, like, hey, I'm here. Hey, I'm listening. I'm interested.
Yes.
And I'm really curious, like, what else you want to share.
Yes.
Because it's so easy to be in our own head about what you said earlier.
Yeah.
What am I need to say next?
Big time. And if you find yourself to be finding yourself in a place of, I'm maybe not interested. I don't care what other people really have to say.
Yeah.
Something I would recommend is this, it's kind of silly, but this thing of like fake it till you make it. Like really pretend like you are interested. And I feel like slowly it starts to like kind of take over you of all of a sudden like, wow, actually I have been listening and tell me more. I want more. I'm craving more.
Yeah.
So that would be my recommendation if and that's, for people who are, and it might be a heart chakra thing too, that we've closed ourselves off. So we don't want to listen because we're afraid to be hurt. So, open yourself up and again, fake it till you make it, but like just see what happens if you can really like just pretend, and then maybe slowly it actually does happen.
Yeah. And I think if you are an overactive speaker, I think we encourage you, like if you're in a group setting, see what it'd feel like just to kind of hold your tongue a little bit and to listen, because you might surprise yourself of what you might uncover from your friends, your family, your coworkers, your loved ones, and be amazed of their story. And at the same time, like communication isn't one-sided. It's not one person. So, it's about a dialogue. And that's, one reason why I like love chatting with Patsy, because it's always just back and forth. And we thrive off of each other's ideas and opinions and perspectives. And it's mutually felt.
Yes, very much so. Like I was actually thinking on the way here, Christine and I have this, I don't know if it's a new tradition we're doing or what, but we actually will see each other in meetings, and then we get to our car. Okay, I'll call you on the phone. Yeah. And because we're in traffic, it's Austin, Texas. So we'll spend another 30 minutes and we have Bluetooth, so don't worry. Our hands are on the wheel. Yeah. But we'll spend another 30 minutes just chit-chatting about our personal lives, about work, about it all. And it's so fulfilling. Yeah, I love it.
Good. Me too. It makes me so happy. And so that's that's like, I think it's so easy just to get through the day, just do your work, run the errands, and miss out on the relationships.
Yes.
And it's like, I get it. Life is really busy and there's so many demands, but like, relationships are a huge part of life. Yeah. And if we neglect them, like that will be really unfulfilling for your life. And maybe you're listening to this and feeling like, you're feeling alone or lonely. And it's, sometimes it's scary to reach out and be like, hey, want to connect? Yeah. Maybe pick up the phone and just have a conversation, or, hey, come over, let's hang out and just chat. And sometimes it's not having like a plan of like something to do. But maybe it's just hanging out and having coffee or a drink together and just shooting the shit. Yeah. And putting the phone down and just connecting. And it is like, it's transformational and really powerful.
And I think it's a big part of the human experience that we, as you said, like it's so easy to miss out on. It's so easy to just go from your day-to-day lives. But you know what? It isn't, as you said, it doesn't have to be like this big plan. Yeah. I like to put my earbuds in, and as I'm walking the dogs, I'll give my mom a call or, someone I haven't seen in a while. And something I'm trying to get back into is actually handwriting notes. Like if I have something special I want to say to someone,
I love that.
I'm going to write them a note. And
that's beautiful.
Yeah, and if they don't live here, I'm going to send it off, mail it off. That's I used to do that a lot. Wow. And so I'm trying to get back into that.
Oh, I love that. That's a great form of communication.
Yeah.
Even, just if you think of someone, shoot them a text. Even it's so simple, but if some random friend of yours just pops into your head, wonder how they're doing, go with it and reach out to them. It's kind of like, I don't know, the universe being like, hey, reconnect to that person, see how they're doing, check in on them, tell them that you love them. Yeah. I also think it's really important to reach out to our loved ones and just have those random things of like affirming them. Yeah. Hey, I see you. I see you're working really hard. And I just wanted to let you know I appreciate everything you're doing. That can be so big. Impactful.
Yeah. And that could be like the extra little boost that really keeps them going for the day.
And you just don't know that.
And someone once told me that if you dream about someone, then it's absolutely necessary to reach out to them. Yeah. Yeah. And I love that. That was Christine.
Send them some good vibes, check in on how they're doing. I think especially when it's someone random in your dream and you're like, well, I haven't talked to them in like a decade. There's something there. Yeah. Like we're all interconnected.
Yes.
Another thing is to think like with our relationships with like strangers and not intimate relationships, I really try to be like open. Like if I go to the convenience store or a coffee shop or something like that, like I really think eye contact is a powerful, intense form of communication, even if there's no words said. And like, I think I know it sounds really weird, but I like to do this when I teach. Maybe it's dorky. I don't know. I love it. It's like when I'm teaching and then I'm just like looking at my students. And then sometimes like a student will like look at me and I just like look back at them and give them like some warm love.
Yes.
And I think it just is felt.
It's huge.
Yeah.
Yes.
And not in like a
it's
creepy,
huge.
like
No.
I'm checking you out, just letting you know that's not what it's like. It's like, oh, like I see you, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that. When I teach, I'll do this every now and then. I have them, if it's a smaller class, face each other and actually purposefully make eye contact.
Oh, I think that's cool.
You know,
Like eye gaze, yeah.
I say you have 3 options.
Yeah.
If you make eye contact with anyone, and this is in life, you can, first option, you can like look away really fast, maybe make it awkward, maybe even like, scoff.
Yeah.
You know,
like, oh, this is dumb.
act like a jerk.
Yeah.
Or you make eye contact, give them a wink,
Yeah.
a smile, a nod.
Yeah.
Last option, make eye contact. I love you.
Yeah.
Say I love you.
Yeah. Love you.
Thank you.
I just think it's so, I don't know, you know, the whole saying of the windows are of the eyes of the soul, you know? And it's not, I mean, throat chakra we're talking about of like verbal communication, listening, but it's also how we interact with our whole being and our whole body. And so don't neglect those parts of you that can communicate and that can be expressed. Because it's not just, we're more holistic beings. We're not just segmented. Even though we're talking about one part of our beings, everything is so interconnected.
So connected.
Yeah. So when we go back into the throat, it's like, okay, think about this small, narrow passageway. I love how that you were talking about is this filtration system. So it's like, okay, if you're speaking to yourself, you know, where is that going and how does that come through and be felt through the rest of your body? And then everything else, like whatever you're experiencing down below, how does that come out and express into the world? And sometimes we just say something and then we're like, we want to take it back.
Take it back.
Yeah. But, you know, I'm a type of person, if I hear something it might be even like a random thing, but sometimes something sticks. And I'm like, I remember you said that.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be a person that holds on to things. And I just want to let them go. And I don't want that to create angst for myself.
Right.
So, you know, if someone says something to you that's painful or hurtful or isn't just not true, you don't need to respond right away.
Yes.
You have all the power to say, hey, I need some time to think about what you just said. And come, like, think about it, journal about it, meditate, and then come back and talk about it. Simply because especially if it's an intense, painful situation or words were said, if you don't let it process and filter, then that energy is gonna stagnate in your being, and then that's where you might hold the resentment.
You're so right with that. And I think that takes a lot of maturity too, you know, and responsibility for, at that point, responsibility for not only your emotions, but also, you know, what was just said to you.
Yeah.
But you only have responsibility for yourself.
Yes.
So I think it's really important to do that, to take the time.
Yeah, you're only responsible for yourself. Yeah.
Good reminder.
I know it is. Thanks. You shared it. So yeah, I would say, you know, start with yourself. Really be honest with how you're expressing your life to yourself, and what truths you're believing and what lies you're falling into. Because it's really important to weed those out. Because if you don't weed them out, generally those will leak out in different ways. Whether you won't speak as much, you'll kind of hold yourself in a different position that you really would like to. You might not express yourself.
Yeah.
And those are just examples of not having that positive, uplifting mindset that can really shift how you engage with the rest of the world.
Big time. Yeah. Start exploring your own communication first and how you filter it And then from there, go into how you filter other people's communications, how you listen, and with compassion. Always with compassion, because we're all working. We're all a work in progress, and knowing that the person next to you is doing their best too.
Yeah, they're doing their best. I love that. And I think it's also like finding your truth. It's so easy not only to believe like a negative script that you create, but it's also about like things that you read on the internet. I've been having conversations with people of like, you're scrolling on the gram or wherever, and you're like, that's a cool quote. That's great. But like, is it really aligned with your values and your truth? Or are you just kind of like letting that have a wash over you? And, like, especially in the yoga world, that like guru mentality of someone knowing all the answers is not real. We don't know all the answers, and I'm not ashamed to say that at all. I think in life is a journey, and everyone is going to have different perspectives because of based on their experiences. And so just, be mindful of what you take in as your truth, because it might take you down a different route than you actually thought you were going. And that's easy to really just be like, oh, that's cool. But like, critically start thinking about the things that you believe about yourself, the things that you're reading, and don't just take things for face value. Sit with it a little bit. Let it like make like a stew. It sits and simmers for a while, and that goes hand in hand with that processing, purification, filtration system of our throat chakra. Because then is it like, are we just going to say things because of are we just going to like repeat what we've read,
regurgitate all of it?
Exactly. Without actually like sitting and thinking about it, because then that also can be felt. Like if you really believe and have conviction about something, people see it and feel it. The like
passion will be in there.
Yes. But if you're just like, this is what have you?
It was cool on Instagram.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and share it, and you're not really convicted by it, like. That's going to be felt. And then, just that mentality of someone has all the answers, like, and gets life 100% is just not there. So just be mindful of what you take in, because what you take in impacts what you bring out into the world too.
Yeah. A good reminder.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
So, and I speak to myself, like you got to speak your truth, even when it's hard. Because it will, we've all felt that like weight of the weight of the world on your shoulders, or like a situation you're going through, and you're like, oh my gosh,
so heavy.
Yeah. So figure out a way. Maybe you have something to share that you need to like write down first, and read it, and that's your truth. Okay, I'm going to share it somehow with compassion, with love and kindness, and then find those people that you can actually confide in and trust. That they're not going to judge you or critique you. But again, that they're going to actively listen to you. Those people are so important. It's like the people you surround yourself with are very much mirrors of who you are. So be mindful. Are you around people who are negative and pessimistic, and just like naysayers? Like that's going to impact you
big time,
and then how you speak about yourself and how you speak about other people. Do you gossip, or are you uplifting, or are you around people who are caring, compassionate individuals who want to bring goodness and light into the world? That's going to feed your soul, and hopefully have a beautiful impact in the words that you choose to speak.
Right.
Yeah. And lastly, I just want to dive in. There's so many stories of creation and like religious texts about there was a word and then life came into existence. And so our words really have the power to bring life. And at the same light, they have the power to destroy.
Yeah. Oof.
I know.
Mm-hmm.
Like the tongue is like a sword.
Yes.
So just
how you use your sword.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, really.
It's tricky.
It is. I just thought about the deity for the chakra.
It is?
Saraswati.
Okay, share.
She is the goddess of knowledge. So she's always shown with a book or with poetry or,
beautiful.
A lute, the music.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to mention that really fast.
Yeah. And so I think that goes back to filling your mind with also texts that are going to have you critically think about things. Challenge yourself.
Yes.
Know when to hold your tongue and then know when to express your truth. Because there's going to be time for them both.
Absolutely.
And you'll probably mess up along the way. We're human. It happens.
And that's okay.
And it's okay.
Yeah.
So have the power to forgive and then have the power to apologize.
Yeah.
So you can mend anything that's torn. So you feel better. And the person that you may have hurt or has hurt you also feels free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great advice.
Thank you so much for joining us today. We hope you speak your truth. And as always, namaste.
Namaste.